The chapel was a vacuum of silence, a hollowed-out space where whispered condolences should have lived. The funeral director, Mr. Evans, approached me with a pained, professional sympathy. "Miss Thorne, we've held the start. Where is your family?" He gestured to the endless rows of empty mahogany chairs. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "So sorry, sweetheart. The museum gala is this weekend. We're swamped." In that moment, as I stood utterly alone before my husband James's casket, the final, fragile lie I'd told myself for 34 years shattered. I wasn't just a widow. I had always been an orphan. My name is Valerie Thorne. I was the quiet, mismatched piece in my family's glittering puzzle. My father was an investment manager, my mother a philanthropic socialite, my brother a corporate lawyer. I worked for a small nonprofit and married James Mitchell, a high school history teacher whose greatest wealth was his kindness. Our love was a deep, private well of inside jokes and shared quiet. To my family, James was a pleasant, low-yield bond. They were cordial, until his death rendered even that politeness unnecessary. James died on a Tuesday, a sudden, brutal accident that erased my future. As I moved through the numbed mechanics of death, a stubborn part of me still believed in the script, family shows up. I called my mother. "The funeral is Saturday at Greenlawn." A sigh. "Oh, Valerie, that's terrible timing. Aunt Patricia's book launch at the plaza is that night. We're hosting. We'll send the most beautiful wreath, those white roses." "He's dead, Mom." "I know, darling, but life must go on. We'll do a lovely dinner next month." My brother, David, was at the airport. "A huge conference in Miami, Val. Non-refundable ticket. The partners are expecting me. You understand. James would." Then my best friend, Sophie. Her voice was thick, but not for me. "Jeremy left. Took the dog. I'm a mess. I can't handle anything heavy right now. You're so strong. You'll be okay." The line went dead. So, on a Saturday that felt like a betrayal of sunshine, 7 people came. His sister, 2 cousins, 3 colleagues from his school. In a chapel set for 50, their presence only magnified the absence. The hymns, sung by a hired soloist, echoed in the void. The next day, while I sat paralyzed in our silent apartment, my phone lit up with notifications. My mother had posted an album, A Magical Night for the Arts. Photos of my family beaming in sequins and tuxedos at the plaza time-stamped 7:30 p.m. the night of the funeral. The captions celebrated family and community. The comments poured in. What an inspiring family. Not one mention of a funeral. Not one mention of me. The life insurance check, $150,000, our house fund, arrived. My father called within the hour. "Valerie, good. I'm in a liquidity squeeze. Need you to extend a short-term loan, $30,000, just a few months. Family helps family." Before I could breathe, a text from David chimed in the family group. "Dad says the insurance came through. Any chance you could float me 10 grand? These loans are killing me." They didn't ask how I was. They saw a financial event. The transaction was complete. A month later, I went to a family brunch, a ghost hoping for a scrap of humanity. My Aunt Patricia sipped her mimosa. "You know, in a way, it's a blessing. You're young, no children. You can make a clean start. Find someone more aligned." My uncle nodded. He was a good man, but teachers, no trajectory. Financially, you'll be better off. The table murmured agreement. My mother offered a helpless shrug. I walked out without a word. In the wreckage of grief, I became an archaeologist of our life. In the back of James's desk drawer, I found a plain folder labeled "For Val, the Ledger." Inside was my husband's quiet, fierce love made manifest. Printouts of emails between my father and his accountant discussing the management of my grandmother's trust. Spreadsheets with highlighted discrepancies, modest sums that should have come to me but never did. Notes in James's hand. Asked Richard about Q3 disbursement, cited market volatility. S&P was up 12% that quarter. And at the bottom, a sealed envelope and a business card for a lawyer, Patricia Hayes. On the card, James had written, if you ever need an ally. The envelope held a copy of my grandmother's will. Clause 7B bequeathed me $250,000 to be released at age 30. My 30th birthday had come and gone 4 years prior. I received a card. No one mentioned $250,000. James had seen the patterns, the subtle financial disdain. He had begun quietly building a fortress of truth to protect me. Patricia Hayes was a sharp, no-nonsense attorney. In her office, the picture clarified. My father, the executor, had never dissolved the trust. He'd been diverting interest and principal into other family ventures. The liquidity squeeze was a hole he dug with my money. The confrontation was in Patricia's sterile conference room. My parents sat across the table, my father pale, my mother rigid with indignation. "We know about grandmother's will," I said. "We've seen the transfers. This is a misunderstanding, complex family investments. You stole from me," I stated, the words clean in the quiet. "And you didn't come to his funeral because you were too busy, or maybe because you were already afraid of what he'd left for me to find." My mother's fury erupted. "How dare you? After all we've given you, you choose this stranger over your family?" "James wasn't the stranger. You are," I whispered. I presented the choice, crafted by Patricia: full restitution with interest and a binding legal agreement, or a formal complaint to the Bar Association and a lawsuit for fiduciary malfeasance. They chose to pay. The money arrived within days. The silence that followed was absolute. I used my grandmother's money to buy the little house James and I dreamed of, outright, a sanctuary. With the rest, I founded the James Mitchell Foundation. It doesn't host galas. It pays for a substitute teacher when a staff member's child is sick. It covers an emergency medical bill for a cafeteria worker. It is quiet, practical, profound, a living memorial to love that shows up. Months later, I finally visited James's grave. I brought wildflowers. I sat in the grass and cried, but the tears were of gratitude. He had loved me with a clarity that saw through every pretense. In his final act, he gave me the truth and the tools to build a life on my own terms. The family I was born into continues their glittering orbit elsewhere. Their silence, once a weapon, is now my peace. I learned the deepest loneliness is not being alone, but being invisible to those who should see you best. And I learned that sometimes the most powerful legacy is not a grand inheritance, but a single, steadfast voice in an empty chapel, finally speaking its truth, even if at first you are the only one there to hear it.